recording. Welcome to the DKQ Lifestyle Podcast with me, Marcus, and we're going to talk about separating. So, separating is separating feelings. I spoke of this on the last pod about how when something happens in the... One second, let me move the mic back. When something happens in the here and now, also, sorry, when something happens in the here and now, how it can be compounded by things that happened in the past, which makes it more, it compounds it, which, let's just say, we're going to use a gym reference here. So let's just say that somebody has annoyed me and chucked two 20 kg plates in my hand, weight plates, you put on the bar. And if you don't go to DQ Fitness Instagram and see weights on the bar. Anyway, and then it gets compounded by someone chucking another 5 plates from the past of all the serious trauma that I couldn't do nothing about. I'm still hangs over me, and then boom, it's going to be a big heavy. So that's compounding what's going on, and it makes it worse. So being able to separate those feelings, the past feelings from the here and now, helps massively in being able to manage emotions better. Because that's basically everything that I talk about. It's all about managing feelings. Speaking about it, when I speak about it, it seems so easy, but there's a bit of a process behind it, and it's just as long as you make it, in a sense. So people work at different speeds, people have different comprehension, levels of comprehension in terms of how they understand and how they interpret the information given. Not just my information, because you can look at all this stuff up that I say online and see the models that are being used, the counselling theories. And yeah, and just moving forward with it in terms of processing your own stuff. But I've met a few people lately that I've kind of self-counseled, and they've missed what happened. It's just a natural occurrence to just miss out the worst bits. It's all right just fixing it here and there, but you're still a bit of a nightmare because you're not looking at what some counselling theories would call the dark side of us. Anyway, so yeah, separating is very beneficial in terms of being able to manage situations better, being able to deal and cope with situations better. And by deal and cope, I mean by having a better response. So rather than, like I say, going into someone does something, you've never met that person before, it's literally been a brief encounter, they've said or done something that you don't like, possibly not meeting your expectation of you've held the door, they didn't say please or thank you, or you expect them to let you out of that giveaway. Once the expectation is not made, because we're casting out expectations every 2 seconds. I'm podding now, I don't expect no one to knock on the door. It's just, and somebody may do, because it's just where then I've got to turn it all off and sit and then reseat myself, make sure everything's... Oh, let me sort my chair. Oh, there. That's it. I like it with 2 prongs touching the wall rather than one, because I'm sat closer. I want to be sat a little bit further back. Making sure my lights are on. Yeah. And we're anyway, so we're casting expectations out all the time, and that's what makes us different, because we have different expectations due to upbringing, environment, etc. So someone might have just done something in passing, something's not happened right, and we blow right up. Like literally, they've just done something that's like I was saying before, 1% on the scale, but because it's happened all them times before, and we haven't learnt to separate yet, that this person's just doing this in that moment, don't worry about all the past times it's happened. You are going ballistic, 100 or 1,000% mad on this person when it's don't warrant. It's almost like parking in a disability spot or parking on double yellows and getting a life sentence. The crime doesn't warrant the punishment, and we do all this kind of stuff all the time. Even kids as well, with our kids. You see people sometimes, the kids, once again, not meeting our expectations in terms of behaving, being good, and people lever them. It's they only just didn't listen. It wasn't. Do you know what I mean? But that's all my stuff. I don't think that kids should be. I think you can have a good talk to them. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah. So being able to separate is something that is it's essential. It's essential for being able to process, move on with something, either letting it go or dealing with it appropriately. If someone just says something like a simple, excuse me, mate, that was quite uncalled for. Now they might go into something, but you said your bit. Their stuff might get triggered, but that's their stuff. That's another thing we'll talk about, like their stuff. And that's another, well, to me, it's not we can talk about it now. Because that's separating. So when someone's kicking off, like I mentioned it before one time, where I was saying about how people are thinking they're bad walking around this and that. I'll throw them like a paper airplane, I'll give them a backhand or da-da-da. Or I'm chatting to someone and she flipping kicks off and next thing I know she's as capable as Chun-Li. You know what I mean? But what I was trying to say is when people are kicking off and they're going through stuff, that's how I ended it by saying, starting off with all the people think they're bad and I'll just do this, that and the other. And it's like, but people are going through stuff, so that's why they're kicking off. They've got things going off in the background. So then it's not for me to be living my life okay. Something to happen like that time when I clipped that, my door literally opened up to the maximum and literally just touched someone's touched the mirror, the wing mirror. They've hopped out the car like they were killing back. Like I've just gone bang and took the wing mirror off. Like there was literally no damage done. It literally just touched it, and they sat in the car so they heard or felt it or whatever. Like it wasn't. I didn't even hear it because I was outside. Do you know what I mean? But when I did look, I was pulling it away from their door. Do you know what I mean? Their wing mirror. And yeah, so then speaking to him, she's going off alarming. He's half kind of trying to. I'm just thinking, like, what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Bit of me, the beast inside is thinking, yo, listen, I could take care of this quick. But it's not about that no more. I don't feed that wolf. There's two wolves inside you, one positive, one negative. I don't feed the negative wolf. And in the end, she's just like, oh, because I goes, listen, what would it take to sort this out? Do you know what I mean? Name a price. If that's where it is, because she's trying to say that there's something up with her wing mirror. She knew there went no up with her wing mirror. But I'm trying to just shop in Asda quick. You know the ones there? In the end, she goes, oh, do you know what? Oh, she's going, oh. And she's like, it was almost like she was crying without crying. Do you know what I mean? Like she's like, oh, I'm just sorry. I've got this and that going off. Da-da-da-da. And I thought a few things. First thing I thought is mad. Like I thought, allowing this to play out, just got this like normal response, and then they just went and shopped and I went and shopped and that was it. Do you know what I mean? But I thought, wow, like the old me would have kicked right off, levered him. You know what I mean? And then whatever happened after, what, you know what I mean? I've lost my head. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just doing automatic reactions. Do you know what I mean? That are really choices. So yeah, and that was that. So it was a positive outcome. New frame of reference. Even if that was my first time doing it, allowing it to play out and getting a almost positive outcome. But like I said, that was her stuff. He's back in his girl, but forget him. That was her stuff. Like she had stuff going off in the background, and she just put it on me because of the wing mirror thing. But she would have had that bubbling inside her. So, like I say, regardless of the old me popping up like, hey, do you want me to jump in? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, no, this is fine. Not getting, yeah, but what do you mean? You parked too close to, and then me getting angry, like, but because there's nothing for me to get angry about. For one, I've took responsibility. Yes, I did touch your windscreen. I could have asked to the cows come on with, but you this and that and took no responsibility. I took my responsibility, and to be honest, it's like that almost took something out of them. Like they couldn't say anything because they can't say anything because I've said yeah I have, and then in the end we've switched it to like, all right, then what will it take to like just to squash this right now? Do you know what I mean? Like. And it was just like, that's when the kind of realization drops even more. Because it's like they wanted to say something, but they couldn't. It's almost like what she wanted to say is, but you're not even bothered. Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't, but she was like stuttering and like, but like, and there was not, it's like, because I wasn't kicking off, I wasn't going off alarming, there wasn't nothing for me to react to. Because like I say, that was her stuff and his stuff. His stuff would have been protecting his girl, and her stuff was like protecting her property, but there's somewhat else going on. She mentioned what it was, I can't remember what it was. It was like a year ago now, this, I think. Pissing it down anyway. Absolutely pissing it down. And yeah. So I'm trying to say it was probably winter or something, I don't even know, because we pissed it down last night. It's fucking summer right now. There were floods. A couple of floods all over South Yorkshire. So yeah, so that's separating. So also there's the separating, to my knowledge, or what I've learned is separating some emotions, negative emotions coming up, because we always talk about negative emotions. It will never be positive, like, because the positives will be all right. But sometimes we can do mad stuff when we're positive, because we can even, want to just feel so elated. Oh, I'm gonna jump off a cliff, I was running into this road. Do you know what I mean? Like, not expecting, started again. Yeah, we'll talk about the negative emotion. So separating when something happens in the moment, separating, understanding what's going on, how I feel, what that links into, like I did last time, like talking about the unheard, how it links into my own neglect and abandonment, separating that and being able to deal with what's going on here, because I can't deal with that in the here and now, because that's done. Do you know what I mean? But I can process that and understand what's going on there. Do you know what I mean? And that's why that's minimized. So that's why that's not a big deal no more. But it can pop up if I leave it unchecked and not look at what's going on, because it had me ruminating, if you remember. So that's separating past stuff from now. And then also when someone else comes along and tries chiming in like about something, it's like, oh, well, that's your stuff. Or not even saying that, that might even trigger them, just like, be like, whatever. And if someone else is there, and when that person's gone, or whatever, or if you're telling someone later on, be like, oh, well, they started kicking off and da-da-da, but like, I just thought, that's their stuff. It's not mine. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are unhappy about something else or whatever, like, but what they're saying is not even reality. Like, I do this and I do that. Like, what they're saying isn't true. Do you know what I mean? They're saying it's true and think it's true, but it's definitely not, because here's where I can evidence that, here's where I can evidence that, and here's where I can evidence that. Like, so what? I don't know what they're on about. Like, but they've got a beanie bonnet, and it's not even really, it's not really the now stuff that's going on, it's the past trauma, and we do it to each other all the time. So yeah, so that's separating your own stuff and separating people's stuff from yours. And even if there's just one thing you can learn, that would be a good one, just to be able to separate what's yours and what's theirs. It's not assigning blame, it's more taking your own blame when it comes to other people. And then with separating your own stuff, it's just understanding that this person isn't that person that shouted your luxury in that cupboard or whatever, or neglected you around Christmas time and, played with their other kids more than, that's not that person. That's just flipping Gary. That you don't even know his name. That's just Gary from round fucking back at shops. Do you know what I mean? He's not the person that did all that stuff or whatever, or Sarah, or what, do you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's that one. Quick thing, Marcus, DQ&Q Lifestyle Podcast.